Hello and welcome to Sonic Sorcery. I am Stefan Key, your Sonic Sorcerer. And before we get into the tutorial, if you're new to the channel, we focus mainly on creating healing music, meditation music, sound healing, ambient, basically music that helps us to expand our consciousness or to lift our frequency and vibration. And the Academy for Sonic Sorcery is basically the extension of the YouTube channel. So if you're looking for a community of Sonic wizards, there's different membership levels for the Academy. So there's the tier of the Adept for $15 a month, or the Mage. And the only difference is that the Mage also includes private one-on-one online classes with me, one per month. And yeah, if you want to join a community of fellow sound healers and medicine musicians and sonic alchemists, you can join our Circle of Sonic Wizards, our Discord, where we talk about collaboration and give each other track feedback and music and production tips. We talk about plugins and all kinds of things that are related to creating magic with sound. And also we have our weekly meetings that you can join every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Costa Rica time. We meet and we have a sharing, and then we also have like technical Q&A. So whatever is being of interest can be shared and explored together. And the last meeting, for instance, we looked at how I created a track, and then we did a stem mastering, and it was very interesting to see how we can solve issues like frequency masking and stuff like that. But yeah, all kinds of questions can be asked. And yeah, in addition to be able to join the circle and the meetings, you will also get access to download the Ableton project of this and many other tutorials as well. So if that is something that you're interested in, you can find the link to the Academy, my Ko-fi page, in the description. But now let's jump into the tutorial. So last video, we created this root chakra sound healing journey with the Planetary Chakra Template. If you haven't seen this video, I would highly recommend you to watch it. I will put the link in the description, and also it will probably show up here somewhere on top as a link. So make sure to watch this first if you want to know how this was created. And in today's video, we want to have a look at actually how to create a live performance out of this arranged sound journey, right? So, you know, like the easiest way would be you can just export it and you can hit play and then it's playing, but that's not a lot of fun, and this doesn't give you a lot of control over the, let's say, development of the journey over time. So what you can do with Ableton is you can actually perform things live because it has a session view, and Ableton was mainly created as a live performance tool in the first place. So it just later became a DAW, but before it had only the session view and it was about performing live with loops and clips. So basically the creative challenge that we have now is to take this arrangement, basically reverse engineer it and bring it back into the session view so that we can perform it live, right? And so the idea would be first to have a look at the arrangement and work with those locators that you can create. If you right click in this area here underneath this loop selection bar, you know, if you have this little speaker symbol here and you right click, and then you can add a locator and you can create markers for yourself, right? So this is the intro, and then you can move it wherever you want. It makes sense to put the intro at the beginning. So then let's see what else is coming. So maybe this is another one. Let's call this maybe part 1, right? This is where the bowl is coming in. And then let's see where is another major change. Maybe 33. is where another bowl comes in. Maybe that's part 2. And then I feel here 49 is another major part, because this is where the pad is coming in, and also the flutes and all that stuff. So let's go all the way to maybe 95, when this is like part 4. And then we have kind of the outro. So like, let's say this is like part 5. And then we have the outro, which maybe starts here. Right, this is just one way of mapping it out, the structure. Of course, you can do it in your own way, and you might ask yourself why I did this, and it is because I want to have, you know, those clips that are now in the arrangement view being in the session view, and there's one easy way to do that. So let's say I have highlighted this part here, right, the first 16 bars, so from the intro up until part 1, which would be like kind of the intro section, right? So what I can do now, I can highlight this, and if I'm on this bar, I right click, and then I have this cool feature called consolidate time to a new scene. So it's consolidating now. And when it's done, you will see now I can switch to session view, and all of a sudden I have the clips, but only the clips that were present in the intro, right? So let's say I rename this intro, and you can see those were all like still left from the other chakras. We can delete that for now, so I just shift click and delete them so that we're not confused also with the BPM. So now we have the first part, intro, right? So what you can do now, you can check this is the first ambient sound, the river, and it has the fade in, and then it's looping. And this is where it gets a little bit problematic, in a sense that if you want to play them as a loop, you know, at the end of the loop, oops, sorry, I need to get out of here because it's still playing everything. So I move this selection over here. So now when I hit play, actually nothing is playing except the clips that I select here, right? So let's say, you know, it's fading in the ambience, but then it reaches here, right? And it fades in again. So this is something that we have to fix, and we can fix that easily by just the loop marker, and we have the start position here. So this is the start position. So in the first time I hit the clip, it will actually start from where the start position is, right? So now it's fading in. Say I move the start position over here and I click play, then the start position is there, right? But let's say we want to have it at the beginning, and then this is the loop selection. So this will then repeat in a cycle. So if I'm here at the end, it will jump back to here, right? And now we have this kind of seamless loop, so that's fine. And we need to do that with all the other stuff as well that's fading in. So check the drone. So same thing. Let's see how that works with the drone. Nice, that's also seamless. That's great. And let's check the other one. Okay, so those frequencies, those are the healing frequencies. They can just loop. Also, there's no worry about that because they are pretty consistent. Just make sure that you have fade enabled here, because otherwise there might be a kind of crackling sound. So let's see if we can hear it. Yeah, exactly. You hear this noise. If I make it louder. And this should be gone if we activate fade, hopefully. It's here. Yeah, right? So that's why it's important to enable fade. This will create a little fade in and fade out, which makes sure that, you know, because it's not like if you zoom in a lot, you see that it's not right at 0. So the fade in makes sure that the click will be gone. Okay, so we have that. All right. And let's continue to check. So now we have this bowl. Let's see how that sounds. That's going to be interesting. Again, enable fade. It's still kind of there. But this is also, if you look at the clip, the root, sustain, see it's actually a 12 bar loop, right? And this is where we get into trouble already with this measure because, or like, let's say with this method. Like this method, like consolidating to new scene, works really well with electronic music that is timed equally, that always works with the same multiples, you know, like let's say like 4 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars, 32 bars, and the loops are all straight and mapped out. So in a future video, I will show you that actually in a shamanic downtempo track, how that works with the same principle. But here, because all those elements have different loop length, which are of course created intentionally so that when they loop, they are not all sounding the same and not all re-triggering at the same time, it gets a bit challenging. So let's see what happens if we make it actually 12 bars instead. Right, so I extend that and I make it 12. So let's see how that sounds. Sorry, I need to go again here. Right, so this is already a lot closer. It's not ideal, but it's closer. And let's see here, the same thing, probably. Well, that's interesting. Starting. Yeah. Okay, so this is okay in a sense that this is 48 bars, and here we see it's repeating at an unusual length. So that is also going to be interesting. So let's just see how it sounds fade on when we just loop it, in this case here. It's fine, because with all the other sounds going on, it's okay. We can get away with it, right? So I think you get the idea. Let's do one more part and then I show you another approach that I would suggest in this case makes more sense. But I wanted you to know that both exist. So let's say now we go to part 1, right? And we do the same thing. We go consolidate time to new scene. Now it's consolidating. And then here we have the part 1. And it's actually here. Part 1. Right? So same thing, we need to check. In this case, it's fine because we just need to enable the fade, right? And again, we need to get out of here to be able to just listen to clips, zoom out, get outside of the arrangement, and now we are free to listen. So, right, this one repeats pretty seamlessly, that's fine. Just check the drone, should be also good with fade enabled. Nice, seamless. Same for the frequency, just enable fade. And then we're good. So that's interesting. Let's see how this transition works. Should be fine as well. But not ideal, right? Because it's re-triggering. So, and here. We can get away with looping it here, enabling the fade. That's okay. You know, but all of this is not really ideal. Just because, as I mentioned earlier, the way that those loops and clips were created, they are not like synced with each other in the same way that an electronic track would be synced. So that's why for this journey here to perform it live, I would suggest something else. I would suggest to actually use the original samples. So what we can do here is we can get rid of all this, highlight, Command A, and delete it. We can still keep the parts, right? But now we can actually check what is in the parts and then get the original samples here from the browser out of the template. So what I'm doing now, you cannot see that, but basically I will create my second window here and this will show up. So this I can move, right? And if I switch, then the arrangement will be up. So I put that on my second screen now. So now I can see the arrangement and I can see exactly which clips I need, right? So now let's say for the intro part, we have the peaceful river. So I need to find my Shamanic, my Planetary Chakra Sound Healing Template. Open it. And first I go to Ambience, right? And let's find the peaceful forest river. So it's here, great. So I put it here. And then I have it. And again, we need to get out of the arrangement here. Okay, so I have the forest river. So then this can loop seamlessly. And now I'm checking, okay, so what else is there? And if I look at the arrangement that you cannot see at the moment, but I can switch, of course, then it's drone 2 and the healing frequencies. So let's get the healing frequencies first, right? So I go to the planetary frequencies and same here, and I take the one from the Earth Day. Oh, see, those are all of them. That's not what we need. So I need to open it further and just take the ones that are actually relevant, which in this case are the Earth Day and the Earth Day chord. So it's a bit confusing, right? Because Ableton names a channel according to the first clip, and because the Earth Day was the first clip and then we had all the other frequencies, it named it like that. So actually I could name that like planetary frequency, and then I can copy that and paste that, and then it's actually the chord of the frequency. So now that makes more sense. Also, if you want to use the other chakras at some point. So then we have that, and because the clips are super long, we don't need to worry about anything. So this is looping fine. So then as we go back, what else are we missing? Okay, so the Tibetan bowl hit, the root sustain is already coming, and the drone 2. So all these we need, right? And I have, as I said, the second monitor so I can check. So let's start with the drones. So we go drone 2 for the root, right? Start with this one. Then we have the root sustain. So we go over to the bowls, singing bowls, sustain. And I take it. Oh no, it's a crystal bowl. Sorry, it's not a singing bowl. Crystal bowl sustain. So it's CB root C sustain. So this one. And I put this one to the crystal bowls because it's crystal bowl, not a singing bowl. So I put this one here. And a little bit, like pretty shortly after, already comes the CB root G sustain. So what I'm doing now, I'm creating a different style of performance which enables me to add elements more than just one at a time in a scene. So I'm adding a little bit more than we actually see here because I'm not creating like 5 different scenes for the performance, but a lot less. And the reason for that will become more obvious because, as I said, here the fades are being made, but this is also challenging for the loop. And if we have them here as loops, this gives us a lot more control over how, when we want to make them fade out, and we can actually extend it. And that's the thing, right? Because this is now like a 9-minute journey, but let's say you want to play it for an hour or like a 90-minute yoga class or 15-minute shavasana or whatever. This allows you, this allows you to performing it in a way that you like, because you got to decide when the next element is coming in and when it's coming out. And this is the power of Ableton in the performance mode, where you can basically create a rearrangement on the fly and choosing the clips that you want to play. So that being said, let's add this CB root G sustain also to the intro part, and then we also have the Tibetan bowl. So let's go to the bowls here. This is the number 2. CB root G sustain. All right, gets here. And the Tibetan bowl hits C. So we go to singing bowl hits. And we get the Tibetan bowl hit C. Okay, so I think that's it for the intro part. Let me check if I missed anything. No, that's it. Right, so now you got to decide how you want to create the arrangement. And I would, this is just the intro part, and we go, we need to move this down a little. So that's all in one line. That's kind of important. Yeah, great. So this is just an example, for the intro part. Just showing you that you can now decide how you want to create it. So I would always start like with healing frequencies. And because this is a group, I can just launch this here, and this will then trigger both clips playing at the same time. So if I and the water was already selected. So usually I would start with healing frequencies, and then I would put the volume all the way down and then slowly bring that in to a level that's comfortable. I had it at around -27, so I leave it for then. Right? And then, like the drone tool would come in, but you can also make another choice this time, and you say, you know what? I want to start with the hit of this bowl. So in this case, let's bring it down a little, and let's see. Okay, that was a little too low. So -12 is actually good. So again, let's pretend we didn't play the bowl. Right, now the bowl is coming in, and then we bring in this one. So I fade it in slightly. now I can bring in maybe the second drone. Nice. And the only thing that is left now that's missing is this one, right? So let's bring in this one. You know, and if we wanted to, we could have this part play like for 5 minutes already, you know, because depending on your intention and your setting and, you know, where you're playing and for what purpose, this can be enough already, you know, like let's say in the Shavasana, this is already pretty much, oh, it's interesting, it didn't loop, which is also cool. Like you can set it to loop if you wanted to. Like let's activate the loop here. By default it was not. Right, so this is already like super nice and works on its own. Someone could easily like do a meditation over it or a guidance or anything. But let's say we want to stick a little bit with the actual arrangement, or like let's say like use the elements that we have. So let's check what else we got. So maybe, you know, like let's say part 2 is actually of interest, or is it not? No, let's make it part 3. So all these new elements are coming in. So we have pad 4, we have the shamanic drum, the double flute, and the hits here, and that's it. And this one is also fading out. So what you could do, you know, if you wanted to, let's just highlight them all for now to show yourself. Oh, shift click, show yourself, and then Command D, or just holding Command and then moving it with the mouse, holding it, letting go, just duplicates them all down. And then, you know, if something would be missing in this part, you could take it out. So let's, for instance, see Tibetan bowl hit C is then gone at some point. So if you wanted to, you could remove that just to show yourself, okay, so actually in this part, it's not going to play anymore. So that you would turn it off at some point if you feel like you want to stick with the original idea and the original arrangement. But you don't have to. It's just showing you what you originally intended at this part of the arrangement, right? And this is like a visual representation. So let's see what else we have here. What is all coming in? Lots of good stuff. So let's start with the hits here, the G and the D. And you see also the sustain is going off, right? So the root also needs to go. Let's take this away. And let's bring in the hits of the root. So that might be crystal bowl hits, I guess. Yeah, GD hits. So those go to the crystal bowl hit 1. And they come in here. And then what else we have? Pad 4, the flute, and the drum. So that's cool. Let's find those. Let's start maybe with the instruments. Go over here. Instrument 1 is the drum. Dropping it here. And then we have the flute, which is instrument 2. Double flute. And then we go to the pads, and it was pad number 4. So this is actually, you know, like the pad 4 for the root chakra, which, you know, because it's the first one, it's going down all the chakras. So let's put it here, pad 4, part number 1. All right, and now, you know, let's do what you also can do. Instead of like triggering each one at a time, you can also just hit the whole scene button here. So this little play thing, and then it plays all the clips at once, like this. Which of course is not ideal, but for now, let's just pretend, you know, we are in the performance and now we want to transition to a new part. So what we want to do is, we want to have this fade out and bring this in, and also bring pad 4 in. So we could go here on this channel and there's all those nice effects, right? So what you could do is, one way is you could filter it out. Slowly, right? Then it just disappears. Or you can put some delay on it. In this case I wouldn't do it because it has a lot of low end, so the filter option might be better. Just filtering it out. And then you can stop the clip and you can trigger this one. And you know, because these are still playing, you don't need to trigger them. It's all good. It just shows you that they are still around. So now let's bring in the pad here. And again, we can fade it in. So drone 2 is still around, but at some point also drone 1 comes in. So we can delete this here already, and let's just go to the drones and take drone 1 already in its position. So again, we could filter that out. Filter is always a very gentle way to make a sound disappear. And then the same thing, you could also reverse filter it in, right? So we take the filter all the way up, so now nothing is being let through except everything that's over 20,000 Hertz, but that's not audible. So now we start the drone and I can reverse the filter, so slowly bringing in more and more low frequencies. And now the drone is there. And now we can bring in the drum. And remember, in the arrangement we were like automating the drum as well. So same thing, I could slowly open this up. And then bring in the drum like that. And then the flute. Right, so now we have everything playing pretty much. I'm just checking if something is missing. No, it's all there. And then basically the last part is when those pads come in, pad 2 and 3, and then the flute and the drum are gone. So, you know, let's again just take everything here. And then, so pad 4 will slowly disappear because pad 2 and 3 will come in. The drum, this will be gone. The frequencies will stay. Just checking here on the bowl side. Okay, the hits stay, and the new hit is coming in here. And the sustain is coming in. That's for the outro. Maybe we make that the last scene so we don't have to think about this right now. Mainly it's just basically drone 1 and drone 2 they all disappear, so there's no drones and there's just pads in this case. So pad 2 and 3. So we take them here, pad 2. And pad 3. And okay, we see the drum and the flute are gone. So, you know, before we transition into this part, these are all gone. So we make sure more or less that they are stopping before we play these. There's no drones, but still the ambience and the bolts. And now for the bolts, we check what is coming in is, I know, I say we wanted to use this for the outro. So let's just make another scene, which, oh no, actually we can leave this as the outro because basically in the end there's just the pads and then it's the drone, I mean the balls being added, and that's it. So let's just add them here and have this in the last scene, part 2, and also the outro. And let's just add these balls. So it's like the Tibetan ball C sustain. So because as we said in the last video, towards the end of the journey, we want to bring in the higher pitched balls because they kind of bring us back into our body. So go to singing bowls, sustain, and we have here the Tibetan bowl C sustain. So we take this, bring it over here, and then we have the CB root hit C. So we also go to the crystal bowls here, and see, is it in number 2 here? Yeah. So then this gets here. C and D is still playing. I just checked. Oh, sorry, that was not it. This one needs to be it. Okie dokie, and then we have it. Okay, so this was the part where I showed you how to convert your arranged sound journey into performance using clips and scenes, and instead of performing it now and showing you how to do it, I will recommend you to watch a video from one of our Academy members, one of our mages, Frank Fable. On his YouTube channel, he did a great tutorial video on how to perform a shamanic sound journey with the APC40 and an Ableton template. So the concept is pretty much the same. He's just using different sounds, not the root chakra. He's using the deep shamanic sound journeys, but he's explaining everything in detail and going through his setup. And I think it's worth watching if you want to see how you can perform with MIDI controllers. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and keep creating magic with sound. I see you in the next one. Bye bye.